Welcome to Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver with Amy Decker and Shayne Silver. Join us on each show where you're going to enjoy a lively conversation that's going to connect you to the tools and resources that you'll need to coordinate care for the seniors in your life. We are so happy that you joined us. Hi, welcome to Senior Strategies. My name is Amy Decker. I am Director of Client Services for Senior Helpers.
And I am Shayne Silver. I am a Seniors Real Estate Specialist with the Silver Team at Keller Williams Realty, and I am a caregiver.
We find that a caregiver feels very guilty, I think, about taking a vacation and going away and taking some time. And I have to say, I just took a vacation with my husband this last week.
Oh, it looked amazing. I'm a little jealous.
It was amazing.
I'm a little jealous, I have to tell you.
But it's one of those things, I think, whether you have children or you're caring for your parents or whatever it is, there's a little twinge of guilt that you should be inculcating some responsibilities with your family and making sure everybody's happy and covered. And this time we went away to Jamaica for 7 days and did absolutely nothing but lay around and get pampered. And I feel like a different person. And I think caregivers don't give themselves enough time to take a break.
Absolutely. It refreshes you, it revives you.
Defrag.
You can't, whether it's a caregiver or a parent, you can't feel guilty because they say you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
So if you are needing that time, whether it's time for yourself, time with your spouse, time with whoever, even if you want to go away by yourself, right, or with friends, it's really important to take that time.
And I think, just with the television program and just everything else, it takes everything and all of your responsibilities and you get to digest them all and then prioritize. So for me, it was very helpful. But I found when I got back, once, I like to find out what's going on with our clients, what are some of the issues, what are some of the challenges. And I have to say, lately, the last couple of weeks, the biggest challenge that we are finding is our dear seniors with memory impairment are not keeping up with their personal hygiene and showering. They're afraid of it. They are combative to the point where they're kicking, screaming, biting, hitting. They don't want to.
Well, you've said before that as people with dementia go deeper into the disease, their nerve endings are affected.
Completely
right?
different.
So there are reasons that they don't want to shower.
Right. So for instance, Teepa Snow, I learned so much from her. I was trained personally by her, and she and I are good friends, and she teaches me a lot of things. And one of the things she said is your brain all of a sudden rewires, and so lips, mouth, and tongue, palms of your hands and your fingertips, bottoms of your feet, your toes, and your genital area are super duper sensitive to sensory. Now you can cut your arm, you can get a bruise on your back. And you'll, Mom, what happened? I don't know, I have no idea. But try putting a spoon in their mouth. Right. Try putting them in the shower now where that water's hitting parts of their body
that are uncomfortable.
Super sensitive.
And not only that, it could be too hot, it could be too cold.
Yes. So what I did is I actually went online because Teepa always has some great things to talk about. And she's got an entire website called Positive Approach to Care. You can look it up, Positive Approach to Care with Teepa Snow. And so I looked up other ways that we can work around, because with showering, if you make an issue out of it, now you've made an issue out of it. And now they're associating that activity with something very negative or being chastised.
Correct.
So it's, it's easy for us to understand because as adults, we had our own schedule that we took a shower. We had our own products that we used. We liked a bath versus a shower. So those are things we need to find out right off the bat. Maybe they don't want to take a shower first thing in the morning. It's convenient for you or for the caregiver, might not be a good time for them. So find out what they want the most. They may be very modest, and so sometimes we have clients that want to leave their underwear on or even put a bathing suit on because they don't want that to be exposed.
Right.
So one of the things that Teepa said is you can actually sit them down on the chair and put warm towels over them, or even warm wet towels over top of their clothes, and then it's easier to say, let's take those off.
Right.
Soap them up while they're standing in the bathroom and say, it's going to be a lot easier if we just rinse you in the shower.
Right.
There were so many different things. Empathy is so critical. We have to realize how we would feel in that situation.
Even just the terms you use, even just the words you use, or the way you ask them, or don't call it a shower. Say, we need to go get cleaned up, we're going to dinner. There's so many little caveats, and it really depends on the person you're caring for.
Yeah. And it said plan ahead. So you might finally get them to get into the shower. They're sitting on there, and then you're like, oh, shoot, I forgot a towel. So now you're leaving the bathroom, you're leaving them sitting there. Now they're upset.
They're cold,
and they're scared.
they're wet, they're uncomfortable.
So plan ahead. Maybe turn the temperature up a little bit in the bathroom. You might be sweating, but they're going to be more comfortable knowing that. One of the biggest things is they don't want to wash their hair, they don't want to get their face wet. So sometimes you can shower their whole body, maybe hold off if the experience isn't going well. Or you get a soapy towel with the soap on it and put it over their head, and you can just rub it so the sensation's not causing friction and a problem. One of the things that Teepa Snow did teach me that I also teach our caregivers with senior helpers is their peripheral vision is completely off. So you go from a normal, you do your peripheral vision, you can see your fingers when you look straight ahead. When you have dementia, it goes from this to that. So you've got somebody now and you've walked in the room and you're going to try and get them in a shower and they can't see you coming. Come around the front, maybe explain, we're going to take a shower now. They may not understand what you're saying, but the gestures are going to work.
There was a great idea I saw, the woman I follow on Instagram. She said sometimes when you have, when you're caring for someone for dementia, it goes back to they don't know how to start an activity or they don't know what the steps of the activity are. So she took a dry erase marker and she literally wrote on the wall of the shower, hair, shoulders, arms, legs, front, back, and they could follow the list of what they needed to wash. And they knew what they needed to do or what was going to come next, and they had it written on the wall of the shower.
See, and these are things in our mind you think, gosh, that's such common sense, but you just don't think of it.
But people with dementia, that's one of the things they lose, is they either don't know the steps to things that you and I take for granted, right? Things like getting up and brushing your teeth. They don't know either how to start the activity or they don't know the steps. And it could be as simple as that, and they don't want to, they can't verbalize to you that, oh, I forgot how to take a shower.
Right. And they truly have. And that was another thing that Teepa talked about too, is that if you, while you're bathing them so that they're not watching your next move or the sensation of being bathed, if you rest your hand on their shoulder or on their back while you're bathing them, now they're thinking about that you're touching the shoulder. It's distracted where that is going on. And so there's so many things we can do, but I think we find as children, because we look at our parents, we expect their actions to be our parents, and they're not anymore. So to say, I can't believe you're not taking a shower, or you've let the house smell like this, or they don't know it. And so to chastise is only going to, if the children do it, the spouses do it to each other, and I can't enunciate enough. If you make an issue out of it and you fixate on it, now you've made a very
now it's going to be an issue, and it's going to just blossom.
And that's exactly what happens. So I think that were some helpful tips, and I know on our Senior Strategies Instagram page, we have different ones that we follow.
Yes, and we'll have some tips up there for you too. If you're a caregiver or someone who's caring for someone with dementia or memory impairment, we'll put some of these tips and tricks up there for you.
Yeah, and because it really is an issue, and I think it becomes, you become very upset with your parents or your spouse.
And the one you're caring for reads your energy. So if you're getting frustrated and upset, it's just going to cause them to get frustrated and upset, and then giving them a shower is even going to become more difficult.
They also read your body language and your facial expressions. So if you go in going, you're smelling, you've got it, can't you smell it? They're going to see that face. They might not even know what you're saying to them. But that facial
they know that you're upset.
You're upset.
Make it fun. Put on some music. If they like music, play some music. This is our shower music. Play the same song each time they get into the shower.
Music is definitely something that can divert their attention. So anything that's uncomfortable for them, whether it's you have a hard time getting them to eat, you have a hard time getting them to shower, they may not want to get up and do anything that you want them to do. But if you can think of some of their favorite songs that are in their era, even now I do baby therapy within memory care, and I can tell the mood sometimes when I get in the room. And if I can go over there and either bring a baby or start humming a song, the favorite one for everyone by far is You Are My Sunshine. So if you start singing You Are My Sunshine, you can get somebody that's in a kind of a cranky to want to sing that with you now. You might sing it 65 times in the next hour, but
you know that it changes their mood and it gets them to do what they need to do.
It does. It really does. So that was one of the challenges that I seem
that
to
you
have come
came
across.
back to.
Right.
That you came back from your nice vacation that cleared your head.
Right.
Yes.
How was your week?
So this past week was my mom's 78th birthday, which we celebrated twice, which was wonderful. However, because she now has no concept of time, doesn't know what day it is, what week it is, what year it is, she didn't remember it was her birthday.
And you know what? Let's finish this up after this commercial break.
You got it. We will be right back with some phenomenal guests. So please see us when you come. Please join us after the commercial break.
In support of all the work that Amy Decker and Shayne Silver do for our senior community, Prepared Care Emergency Companions is honored to sponsor this segment of Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver.
This segment of Senior Strategies is brought to you by Sokoloff and Weinstein, PA Attorneys at Law. Injured? Not your fault? Call Sokoloff and Weinstein, PA Attorneys at Law. They have provided personal injury representation and have practiced in Palm Beach County since 1993. They will address your individual needs and help you through whatever concerns you may have. Principal office located in Palm Beach County. Satellite office located in Indian River County. Call today at 561-790-6788. That's 561-790-6788.
Welcome to Allegro Boynton Beach, the epitome of luxury senior living. Discover a lifestyle free from maintenance worries, or experience gentle support tailored to your daily needs. Choose from our exclusive offerings of independent living, assisted living, and memory care, each designed to provide a personalized experience of utmost comfort and care. Indulge in a maintenance-free retirement or embrace the support you deserve. Surrounded by the finest amenities and compassionate staff. At Allegro Boynton Beach, luxury meets a vibrant community where every moment is filled with joy, purpose, and peace of mind. Experience luxury senior living at its finest. Contact us today to schedule your visit and discover the unmatched lifestyle awaiting you at Allegro Boynton Beach.
You love your mom and dad, and they've always been there for you, always taken care of you. But now they could use a hand, and sometimes more help than you can provide. Thankfully, there's Senior Helpers, experts in Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's care. We can help you transition from a hospital stay to home, or just help your loved one with assistance with their everyday needs. Visit seniorhelpers.com to learn more. Discover why Senior Helpers is senior care, only better.
About 60 million baby boomers refuse to leave a financial burden on their loved ones, but 70% of them have unsuitable life insurance or are unaware that it may expire. With final expenses significantly rising, don't leave your family unprotected. If you have an old policy or purchased guaranteed coverage, don't take any risks. Gain peace of mind with a policy review. Mention Senior Strategies and it's free. Call Pivotal Life today at 561-412-5500. That's 561-412-5500, because family and legacy are worth protecting.
Welcome back to Senior Strategies with Amy and Shayne. Coming up next are more tools and resources you will need to make your journey of caregiving a little easier. For more information or to be a guest on the show, please contact us at 561-800-6654. And now, on with the show. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for returning. We are back here today. We have some amazing guests, but before we move on, I just want to finish up. Yes, it was my mother's 78th birthday this week, and unfortunately, because she has no concept of time, she didn't remember. And
that's tough.
It's really hard reminding her that it's showing up with cake and gifts, and she doesn't understand who they're for, and reminding her several times that it was her birthday, and she kept saying, me? My birthday? My birthday? Didn't remember how old she was. But it was really nice that we got to spend that time together as a family, and we still got to celebrate her.
Good.
So
that's what it's all
it was
about.
nice. It was
good.
It was a good week. We have some great guests with us today. Our first guest with us tonight is J.D. Dinnocenzo. Dinnocenzo. I apologize for butchering your name. With Family First Mortgage, he is a reverse mortgage specialist, and I'm going to let him explain to you what that means.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. So, just to give you a little background, I've been doing reverse mortgages for over 20 years now, and it's a often misunderstood product, but it is a mortgage product that allows homeowners that are at least 62 years old to take equity out of their home without having a mortgage payment going forward. So, as opposed to a traditional mortgage where you have to make a mortgage payment every month, right?
Right.
So over the years, what we've seen is a transition on how people perceive this product.
There's a lot of misconceptions
there are a lot
about
of
reverse
misconceptions.
mortgages out there.
Right. So back in the day when I first started doing this, it was seen and used as a means of last resort, and today it's more being used as a financial planning tool or a retirement planning tool, right?
Right.
So the traditional components of a retirement have been Social Security, pension, and savings. But if you think about it, one of the largest assets people have when they retire is their home.
Is their home.
Most people that are retired have their homes paid for. So the idea of incorporating that home equity into their retirement plan makes sense. Now, should everybody do a reverse mortgage? Absolutely not, right? It makes sense for some people, a lot of people, but certainly I have told plenty of people not to do it, right?
So who shouldn't?
So typically, if somebody has a short time horizon of being in their home, let's say that they plan to stay in their home for maybe another year, and then they want to move to independent living, or they want to move in with their children. I advise them not to do it because there's costs that are incurred with a reverse mortgage or any refinance mortgage. Another person that should not do it is if they want to leave their home to their children. Maybe it's an old family homestead that they want to keep in the family. You don't want to encumber it with a mortgage, right? But most people, most children don't want their parents home. I know I tell my parents all the time.
It's true.
I don't want your home, and I don't want to have to clean it out when you're gone, right?
Yep.
Because I have my own home. So the majority of my clients, when I speak with their children about considering doing a reverse mortgage, they say, I want my parents to enjoy their retirement as much as they can. It was their hard-earned money. Let them do it. I don't want their house because I have my own.
And I will say, in my real estate life, we come across reverse mortgages quite often when we're helping someone sell their home. But we're also seeing it used lately as a way for people to purchase their home with a reverse.
That's something that was FHA, which this is a government-sponsored loan, and it's overseen by HUD. But FHA, about 10 years ago, started allowing people to use reverse mortgages to purchase homes. One of the biggest problems that someone that is retired has, if they're trying to buy a new home, is they don't qualify based on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines, right? Because they're no longer working, they don't have as much income. So with a reverse mortgage, it's a completely different underwriting criteria, so we can qualify people much easier. And the idea of them buying their dream home and not having a mortgage payment makes all the sense in the world for some people. I probably do about, probably 2 to 3, maybe 4 reverse purchases a year, and they work out great for some people.
Yeah, we're seeing them a lot with people that are selling their longtime home, especially up in the Northeast, and coming down here to downsize into a 55-plus neighborhood. We're starting to see it more and more. But
absolutely.
There's a couple myths, which I'm sure you've heard. A lot of people, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying with whether they want to leave the home to their children or not. But the biggest myth we hear a lot is, well, if I do a reverse mortgage, I won't own that home anymore, or I can't give it to my children.
So that is probably one of the biggest myths. The home title always stays with the homeowner, right? So ownership never changes. The second biggest myth is that if the homeowner passes away and there's any equity left in the house, that the bank keeps it. 100% wrong, right? So if somebody does a reverse mortgage and they pass away and the house, let's say, is worth $300,000 and their mortgage balance is $100,000. What typically happens when you unwind a reverse mortgage is the heirs sell the home for whatever the market value is, $300,000. Well, they have to pay the bank back, so they give them $100,000, and the heirs or the estate keep the other $200,000. So the flip side is, if they were upside down, right, and we all know what that was like from about 10 years ago.
Right.
These are considered non-recourse loans, which means you can never owe more than the value of the home, regardless of the balance. So in a case where somebody owes more than the house is worth, what happens is the heirs sell the house for, let's say, $300,000. If they owe $400,000, the bank will go to FHA, Federal Housing Administration, and collect off the mortgage insurance fund. So the bank would not go after the heirs, the bank would not go after the estate. Again, you can't owe more than the value of the home, regardless of the mortgage balance. So it ends up being a win-win situation.
So dummy it down for me. What is a reverse mortgage? What is it?
So it's a means to access equity out of your home without having to make a mortgage payment. Now,
so how does that work?
So based on a borrower's age and based on the value of the home, we'll lend a portion of the value, right? Typically, it's about 50%, all right? So let's say the house is worth $400,000. We'll give you $200,000, right? These are open-ended mortgages, so there's a beginning, there's no defined end, right? Now, we all learned when we were in kindergarten, there's nothing in life for free, right? So when the mortgage does finally end, which is when the homeowner moves out of the house and is no longer the primary residence, what's owed back is the money that was borrowed plus any interest that was accrued over the time that they had that mortgage, right? So again, if there's any equity remaining in the home, that belongs to the homeowner if they're still living, or it belongs to the heirs or the estate if they've passed away.
But it is a good tool. Like JD said, people are using it more for a financial planning tool. You know, we see a lot of seniors who are having trouble paying their bills right now, right? They're having trouble.
Everything is more expensive right
Everything's more expensive, and we hear about these seniors all the time that are having to decide between, do I buy food or do I buy medicine? And some of them don't realize that they have equity in their home that they can really use to help them stay independent and to help them stay in their home and cover those costs. So instead of paying a mortgage every month, they could in essence be getting a check every month, which could help them with that.
So if you think about it, Shayne, I mean, you're in the real estate business. This is the highest values we've seen in South Florida. This is an excellent time for people to tap into that equity to make retirement a little bit easier, right? And the nice thing is you can use the money however you want. The money is non-taxable. It's considered by the IRS a return of equity, so there are no income taxes paid on it.
Nice.
You can do whatever you want. So let's say that you have a homeowner, one person is in a facility and the other person is still living at home. Well, we can do a reverse mortgage on the home to help pay for the care.
The one that's in the facility.
Right? Or if you have somebody that's at home and needs in-home care, how do you pay for that? You know, your clients are on fixed incomes, right? And we all know when we go to the grocery store, it costs a heck of a lot more to live today than it did a couple of years ago.
And some want their parents to age or their spouse to age at home. So some would rather keep them at home so that they can hire care. 80%
of people want to stay in their home as long as they can.
Right.
And we encourage that as long as it's a safe environment.
Right.
right?
Right.
So if we can keep people in their home as opposed to putting them into a facility, because let's face it, you move somebody out of their comfort zone into a facility, and cognitive issues will increase.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So we want to keep people in their home as long as we possibly can and as long as they're safe.
JD, if someone has questions about a reverse mortgage and if that would be best for them or their loved ones, how does someone get in touch with you?
So the best way to reach me is on my cell phone, 561-617-0036.
One more time.
Again, it's 561-617-0036. I have my cell phone with me all the time, except when I'm in the shower.
Good,
you
because
should
that would
have
be
it then.
dangerous. Good, because that would be dangerous. Well, thank you.
That's good. Yeah. So what we're going to do is in a minute, we're going to be coming back.
Thank you so much,
Yeah, that
JD.
was
We're
great.
going to
My
have you
pleasure.
back again
You'll be
toward the
back.
end of the episode, so
Yep.
he will be back answering more of your questions.
I
But now
just
we
think
have
it's-
another guest.
Yeah, we have another guest coming up, and I just think it's very interesting that we like to pair guests that work well together. So if you have somebody that is making plans for their future, like doing a reverse mortgage, or whether or not they want to stay in the home or sell their home or go into a community, that's one part of it. And what's nice now is now we have Dan Terner, who is an elder law attorney that can assist with applying for specific benefits to get them into a place that they need to be or get the care that they need to be. Dan Terner is a good friend of mine. I met him many, many years ago at an elder law firm, and we've been friends since then. And so we're excited to have you, Dan.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us, how did you get where you are today? How did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, if you ask my mother, she would tell you that I've wanted to be an attorney since I was about 3 or 4 years old.
Oh.
Was the first time I told
Wow.
her. I don't remember that. I'm not sure I believe that, but I grew up around seniors. My father was the director of a summer camp for senior citizens.
Oh.
And so I spent my whole life around seniors and watching people helping seniors. Went to law school looking for a way to help the community, and elder law seemed like a natural extension of that. So I've been practicing now for about 25 years
Wow.
as an elder law attorney.
Wow. So you you're full of compassion and empathy, and that really has caused you to excel at what you do. And I have to say, when I do refer anybody to you, I make sure that they know you answer phone calls the day of, you answer emails within minutes. And I think that has a lot to do with why people choose you, because you've got compassion, you've got empathy, and you truly are out to help them.
Well, I think that this is not the type of situation that anybody wants to find themselves in, looking at the need for long-term care planning. People come to me when they're in crisis. People come to me when they're confronting their own mortality. And I think it's so important to be responsive and to not let calls go unanswered or emails go unresponded to. People need answers, and I enjoy guiding. And so how can you help but be compassionate when somebody is going through such a difficult time in their life, watching their spouse or watching their parent? I very much like being able to help.
So when someone is now in a crisis situation and whatever it is that they're looking for their parent, what sets you out different than a regular estate or family planning attorney?
So I think that the line distinguishing estate planning attorneys from elder law attorney is the line between life and death. I think that estate planning attorneys are perhaps a bit more focused on drawing up documents like wills and trusts that say who gets what when you die, distributing the assets. That's a part of elder law also. I help my clients with estate planning as part of what I do. But I think the focus of elder law is more on living. It's on making sure that what you have lasts for you while you're still around. It's on looking at the programs that can help pay for care. And those programs might result in there being more left over for family at the end. But that's not generally the focus or the impetus of the planning. Rather, the focus of elder law is making sure that there's as good a quality of life as possible for as long as possible, and focusing on the senior, not necessarily on the beneficiaries.
What would you say is the biggest concern that you hear when people call for your help?
People are concerned about not having enough. to pay for the care that they need, or not having enough to pay for the care that their spouse needs. And that is a very legitimate concern, because here we are in Florida, where the average cost of a month in a nursing home is about $11,000 a month or at least the state of Florida says it's about $11,000 a month. In my experience, it's north of that. I meet very few people who can afford to pay $11,000 each and every month for the 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years of long-term care that they might need.
Right.
You hemorrhage away money very, very quickly, and most people need to find a solution. Unfortunately, there are solutions out there.
What do you suggest that families should be doing, whether it's spouse or children, right now before they hit a crisis situation, so when a crisis does hit, they're now prepared for that? What are 3 or 4 things that they should really be looking at right now?
So probably the single most important thing to do is to make sure that the people that you trust have the authority to act for you. Just because you're married to somebody doesn't give your spouse the legal authority to take some of the steps that they're going to need to take. You can, while you're well, give them that authority by executing a document like a power of attorney, where you appoint them as somebody who can go to the bank or sign a contract or pay a bill or buy and sell property or take out a loan or sign an admission agreement at a facility. You can, while you're well, sign a document like healthcare advance directives, where you appoint the people that you trust and give them the authority to be your surrogate, talk to your doctors for you, request your medical records for you, decide on treatment or placement. By doing these things, you don't limit any of your own ability to act for yourself. You still take care of all the things you've always done for yourself, but you've deputized helpers who can do it for you as well.
I think that's a myth, because I've run into a couple situations where I work in this, obviously, with a lot of older seniors, and I'll walk into a situation where I'm meeting with a couple about selling their home, and I always ask them if they have a power of attorney, and I can't tell you how many times their response has been no, because I don't want my daughter or my son making decisions for me now.
Right.
I don't need it now.
Right.
And I think that's a myth, and you touched on that just because they're signing it today doesn't mean they're making decisions for you
Right,
today.
that the kids are
Right.
taking over or the spouse is taking over.
I have a power of attorney for myself. I have healthcare advance directives for myself. I have 4 children, and 2 of them are adults, and when they became adults, they signed powers of attorney. They signed healthcare advance directives.
Right, because after 18, or what's the age? If something were to happen to them,
After 18.
18, right.
We did that when my daughter went off to college.
Yeah.
I'll
Right.
never stop being their parent.
Right.
But at age 18, I lost the legal ability
Right.
to help them.
Right.
And so by them signing a power of attorney, they gave me that ability back. And it was an exercise of their control as an adult. They got to decide that they wanted to do it. They got to decide who they wanted to name. But by doing it, they removed the difficulty that we would have if, God forbid, there was an emergency, if there was a crisis, and we didn't have legal authority to act. Well, then there's a plan in place. There's an emergency backup plan, but that emergency backup plan, which is guardianship, is very expensive. It's bureaucratic. It gets the court involved in your life. It gets attorneys involved in your life in a way that doesn't necessarily have to happen.
Right.
If you exercise your own control and sign a document like a power of attorney or healthcare advance directives while you're well and able to do it.
And life takes over. So, you can go through a divorce. You can all of a sudden not like your Aunt Sue anymore. You can move into a different neighborhood and realize that neighbor that you wanted. So how often, because life changes, or you get married and
Or
now
you
don't
move.
want your parents
Maybe
to be
you
in
just
charge. You want
moved
your
to
wife
Florida.
to, or you just moved to
Florida
Florida.
and things are different here.
How often should you look these forms over so that you know to change it?
Yeah, I don't know that there's a set number of years, but I would say anytime you have a major change in your life circumstance, whether that's unfortunately the death of a family member, or whether it's moving to a new place. The law is different from state to state. So anytime you have a major change, it's a good opportunity to look at what you did and make sure that it still makes sense given your current circumstances.
Right. And also, don't forget too, we were talking earlier about dementia. There's going to come a time where someone may not be able to sign these documents.
Right.
So another reason to get them done sooner than later.
Right. Don't wait until you are in a crisis situation and now that person doesn't pass the test to know.
Correct.
You
to be
know,
able
do
to
you
sign
know who
any of
this
these
is? Do you know
documents.
who the president is? I forget what some of the questions were, but if they can't, they don't know it. It's,
Then they
you know,
can't.
they
Right.
can't do it.
Right.
They can't do it. So we're going to come back in a little bit. I'm excited to be able to talk about how both Dan and JD can work together. I mean, even Shayne too, with what she does with real estate, a senior specialist, and how I with in-home healthcare. Like, there's just a great way that we have our guests on that we can all kind of work together.
Absolutely, the
and do
circle
what we
of
do
care.
best.
You've
The
got to
circle
have
of
us all
care.
in your back
Yep.
pocket.
So come
Thank
back.
you. Thank you so much. And please join us after the commercial break.
This segment of Senior Strategies is brought to you by Sokoloff and Weinstein, PA attorneys at law. Injured? Not your fault? Call Sokoloff and Weinstein, PA attorneys at law. They have provided personal injury representation and have practiced in Palm Beach County since 1993. They will address your individual needs and help you through whatever concerns you may have. Principal office located in Palm Beach County. Satellite office located in Indian River County. Call today at 561-790-6788. That's 561-790-6788.
NPTU is a mobile pain management provider caring for patients in their homes or skilled and assisted nursing facilities. NPTU can help with prescribing medications, joint and spine injections, under ultrasound guidance, with a specialty in neurostimulators. Neurostimulators can help reduce the need for narcotic pain medication and are covered by Medicare with a secondary insurance at 100%. NPTU and Tracy Leshinsky is the only provider of this device within a 250-mile radius. Services Palm Beach and North Broward counties. Contact NPTU today at 561-901-1182.
Welcome to Allegro Boynton Beach, the epitome of luxury senior living. Discover a lifestyle free from maintenance worries, or experience gentle support tailored to your daily needs. Choose from our exclusive offerings of independent living, assisted living, and memory care, each designed to provide a personalized experience of utmost comfort and care. Indulge in a maintenance-free retirement or embrace the support you deserve. Surrounded by the finest amenities and compassionate staff. At Allegro Boynton Beach, luxury meets a vibrant community where every moment is filled with joy, purpose, and peace of mind. Experience luxury senior living at its finest. Contact us today to schedule your visit and discover the unmatched lifestyle awaiting you at Allegro Boynton Beach.
You love your mom and dad, and they've always been there for you, always taken care of you. But now they could use a hand, and sometimes more help than you can provide. Thankfully, there's Senior Helpers, experts in Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's care. We can help you transition from a hospital stay to home, or just help your loved one with assistance with their everyday needs. Visit seniorhelpers.com to learn more. Discover why Senior Helpers is senior care, only better.
About 60 million baby boomers refuse to leave a financial burden on their loved ones. But 70% of them have unsuitable life insurance or are unaware that it may expire. With final expenses significantly rising, don't leave your family unprotected. If you have an old policy or purchased guaranteed coverage, don't take any risks. Gain peace of mind with a policy review. Mention Senior Strategies and it's free. Call Pivotal Life today at 561-412-5500. That's 561-412-5500, because family and legacy are worth protecting.
Welcome back to Senior Strategies with Amy and Shayne. Coming up next are more tools and resources you will need to make your journey of caregiving a little easier. For more information or to be a guest on the show, please contact us at 561-800-6654. And now, on with the show.
Hi, welcome back to the show. We have some great guests this evening. I know Dan Terner was just finishing up what he was talking about, but I think one of the biggest things, Dan, because you've got so many vital points, is how can they get in touch with you? For people that are listening or watching, what's the best way to get in touch with you if they have some immediate questions?
Sure, I try to make myself as accessible as possible.
Yes, you do.
So, whatever method works best works for me. Phone is fine. My phone number is 561-247-2250. Email always works well. I'm Daniel@TernerElderLaw.com.
Good.
Really, however is easiest.
Great. And I love that both you and JD work together or can work together if needed. JD, what would you say is one of the things that has really affected you lately? Have you had a client lately that has just had a real challenge and you were able to resolve their problem?
So one of my favorite success stories is about a woman who lived up in New York. She had been her father's caretaker for many years. He passed away, and she wanted to move to Florida where it doesn't snow. And so she came down here, and she found a home to buy, and she was ready to pay cash for it, right? At the advice of her financial planner, he said, "What are you going to live on after you buy your house?" Right? So he asked her to speak with me. We did a reverse mortgage for the purchase transaction. She was able to keep half of her money in her bank, buy her dream home, and still have money to fund her retirement.
Wow.
Right? So it was a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I love hearing stories like that.
That really is something. And it really, to know that we can all work together with everything that we do. So even, Shayne, with what you do.
We see that, just like I said before, we're seeing that more and more, especially as people are moving down from out of state, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. They're selling these homes that they've lived in for 20, 25, 30 years, raised their kids, big, huge home. They come down here, they're downsizing, maybe they're moving into a 55 plus community. And that's such a great tool because like JD said, what are they going to live on after they move here? A lot of them are on a fixed income. So if you have that ability to only use half of those funds to purchase your dream home and have the rest to live on, it's a win-win all around because you really get everything you want, and it could be an option for a lot of people.
Yeah, and then once they're in their dream home, they may want to age in place. So then they're going to have to apply for benefits through Dan so that they can stay where they are. And what would you say, Dan, is the biggest challenge that you've seen, or one of your best success stories?
So I think there's a misconception that I see a lot of people come to my office with, and that is that you have to do planning significantly in advance. And it's true that there's a lot that can be done, and more and better things that can be done when you have the luxury of time. But there's quite a bit that can be done in crisis also. You don't have to do planning 5 years in advance. People hear that 5-year figure in other contexts, and they misconstrue it as meaning if you haven't planned 5 years in advance, you can't get Medicaid. There are, though, waiting lists for certain types of Medicaid, and those waiting lists can be quite lengthy. And so sometimes the biggest challenge is that we can move much more quickly than the government. We can plan and be ready before the government is ready for us to apply. And so that happens not infrequently, but there are programs that I've begun targeting for my clients that have proven quite helpful while we're waiting. In particular, there's a program here in this part of Florida called PACE, Program for All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly. It's an excellent program. It currently does not have a waiting list. And so I've helped clients qualify for that program, and it's kept them away from needing a nursing home.
That's great.
And I do want to say, we've said this before as we've had other attorneys on our show, and Dan just said it again, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So please don't turn to Google, don't turn to an online site. Please give Dan a call, give an elder law attorney a call, and please, everyone's case and situation is different, and I'd hate for people to think they can't do any planning because that's what they read online.
Right. And you're exactly right. They go on to Google and they make their own will or they do their own. So again, Dan, what's the phone number they can call you?
561-247-2250. 247-2250.
And JD, so again, same with you. So they're in a situation now where they'd like to downsize or move and be able to use that.
Or need those funds
Or
to
need
live.
those funds to be able to live. So what is your phone number again?
It's 561-617-0036.
And believe it or not, I think anybody out there, if they're looking to do any of those things, can you use both of you in tandem, just to
Absolutely.
make sure
Sure.
that not only their legal paperwork is in place, but then their mortgage is going to also be in a, you want a reputable company that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I do get a lot of referrals from elder law attorneys and estate planning attorneys. Those are, naturals for me.
It's a great financial planning tool. And again, these are 2 more professionals you can add to your circle of care. We've discussed that before.
Right.
As you yourself are aging or you're caring for someone who is, you need to have those professionals in place. You have to have those people to support you. And I have 2 more people you can add to your list.
And I have to say that the majority of our guests, we either know from our wonderful networking events, which is Partnership for Aging, or senior healthcare coordinators. We have met such a wealth of information and knowledge, and we know about it because we meet with these people monthly, but there's so many of you out there as caregivers that know nothing about these tools. And so hopefully by viewing and listening in, you can hear what they are able to do for you. And never hesitate to reach out to us on our Senior Strategies, either our Instagram or our Facebook page. We also have an email that is
seniorstrategies.pb@gmail.com. If you have any questions, if you didn't get the phone number and you want to reach out to one of our guests or need some assistance, please email us. Again, it's seniorstrategies.pb@gmail.com, or you can call us directly.
Or you may have a tidbit of information that you think will be helpful, even as a caregiver. There might have been something that you've learned as a caregiver that works best, whether it's showering, whether it's, how you did your legal work, how you did selling your home. There's so many things out there. There's so many aspects of what you can do.
There may be a resource or a topic we haven't touched on yet.
Right.
We do have some great shows coming up, so definitely keep listening, but don't hesitate to reach out. We do have this week on Thursday one of our in-person support groups for caregivers and family members is this Thursday at 3 p.m. at Allegro Senior Living in Boynton Beach.
On Hagen Ranch.
And
again, that's just a great way to we also offer respite care. So if you're interested in coming, but you can't leave your loved one behind, feel free to bring them with you because we do offer care for that too. You may be listening in because maybe you have a product that you would like for us to talk about. I know we talked about the mosh bars.
Yep.
We talked about the jelly,
drops.
the gel drops to keep your loved one hydrated during hot seasons. There might be something that you have or that you've heard about, a product that you would like for us to mention. We would certainly love to give you the opportunity to feature that product. So
please, we know that caregiving can be difficult. We know that it can be lonely. We know that it can be stressful. We're here to provide resources so that you don't have to take this journey by yourself and you don't have to recreate the wheel. We've all been there. Amy works in this every single day. I've been down this road for the last 9 years. So if we can help in any way, regardless of what it is, please don't forget to reach out.
Right. And again, dealing with JD and Dan, these are such wonderful tools that you can talk to these gentlemen right now to get things in place. That's the most important. And if you don't, and you are in a crisis situation, like Dan had mentioned, even in a crisis situation, there is something that can be done. You don't have to panic because you're at that point now where now you've got to scramble and make things come together because, like you had mentioned too, you can get it where it needs to be. I think people are also concerned about the look back, when they're applying. What is the look back?
So the look back refers to Medicaid's gift penalties. Medicaid and the IRS both have rules about gifting. Neither cares what the other says. The IRS says you can give away a certain amount per person per year without having to file a gift tax return. You can give away a certain amount over your lifetime without there actually being a tax consequence. Medicaid is completely different. Medicaid penalizes you. They take away 1 month of eligibility for every $10,809 that you give away as a gift. Now that's specific to Florida, but every state has something equivalent. And Medicaid looks back at the 5 years leading up to application to see what you've given away.
And in their mind, they think, I've got all this money, I have a home, I've got all these, I need to spend down. I got to spend down.
Right.
I got to get rid of that. I have to start. But
There
that's
are
also
other
a
ways
myth.
to do
There
it.
are other things that you can do. You don't have to exhaust your assets and then apply for Medicaid. There are things that you can do. And again, it's going to be state specific, but there are things that you can do, quite a few things that you can do here in Florida to shelter and protect what you have so that you leverage Medicaid to pay for the lion's share of your long-term care expenses, and you are able to use the funds that you've sheltered to supplement what Medicaid is doing and improve your quality of life.
And that's wonderful. I just, like you said, between that and even with reverse mortgage, I think so many taboos are out there and people talk about things that they're concerned about. But it's nice having professionals on the show like you both are to say these are things that are a myth. Don't listen to that. This is really what you need to focus on.
And it's important to get that professional opinion because, again, everyone's finances are different. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone's loved ones are different. There are different things that may be important for your family versus my family. So please, again, don't Google it. We have resources out there. We have people to help you. I'd hate for someone to go online and make a bad decision that bites them later.
Exactly, right. And so that's why we just love having guests like you on. And again, we love our networking events between Partnership for Aging and senior healthcare coordinators. We've got such great groups that all of us get together once a month to talk about exactly what we can do
for each other
and to better our seniors. And I think, JD, I've known you, Dan, too, for a long time. And you're huge supporters of both groups. And I just think it's great that you become a great referral source then for everybody else. And there are moments, like you said, that you can refer to each other.
Absolutely.
So how does that work for you, JD? Like, what's your biggest way that you can refer to Dan?
So a lot of people that will come to me that are taking money out, in the equity of their home, sometimes I'll say, what are you going to do with that?
Right.
Have you made plans for when you get older, right? So if they haven't, I'll refer them to somebody like Dan.
Great.
Right? Because sometimes people aren't thinking that far in advance, right?
Right.
They're thinking about the immediate need, right? But you also have to worry about planning ahead as well.
And I think that's where some people
Yes,
fall short.
and I think with anything else, with education comes responsibility. So hearing shows like this, then you know to be responsible. And again, not everybody is on top of things and organized, and sometimes they have to wait until it is a crisis situation to be able to get their affairs in order.
Any last words, gentlemen, that you can leave our viewers and our listeners with? Words of wisdom?
I would say that there are sometimes, in order to move forward, you have to go reverse.
Yes, I
One
love
more
it.
time.
I love it.
Say it
In
again.
order to move forward, you have to go reverse.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And Dan will come up with a quip for you at some point. But your
That sounds
goal is what? What's your biggest?
To help clients realize that confronting your mortality does not need to be scary. The scary thing is not confronting it and not having a plan in place. The sooner you get something in place and the more you communicate it to your family, the easier it's going to be for yourself and for them.
And a lot of times, I see it on the real estate side. I deal with a lot of clients that are selling their home to go into an assisted living or independent living, or quite often I deal with the adult children after their loved one has passed. And we think, and I think this came up before, that our loved one thinks that we want their stuff, that we want their home or we want their things. And if you look around your home right now, most of those things that bring you joy are sentimental to you. So they might not have that same sentimentality to your children or your grandchildren, right? So we worry that we want to leave these things to our loved ones, but quite often we don't. So we have
Or the loved ones don't want them.
Right. I hear that all the time.
They don't want them.
I hear that all the time.
We had a woman that a lamp broke in her room. She kicked her lamp over and she was devastated and said, it's a family heirloom and I'm sure it's worth thousands of dollars. Well, it's worth $1 million to her because the memory came with it. And her mother had it and her mother's mother had it. Come to find out it really wasn't worth anything. But like you say, in their mind, if I leave you my house and my car that's been in the garage for 15 years then.
We get called in to sell houses all the time that are filled with furniture, and the furniture is from 30 years ago.
And China.
And China. And we work with companies that clean out the estates, and no one's buying china anymore. No one uses china anymore. It's not worth anything anymore. The buyers won't buy it anymore.
Right.
You can't even sell it on eBay, or I don't know if they still have eBay. But you can't even sell it on eBay or anything anymore, right? So you really have to
get your affairs in order. And again, so if there's anything that we talked about that you have more questions, feel free to get in touch with us on our social media pages, which is Senior Strategies or seniorstrategies.pb@gmail.com. Any ideas, any questions, we're there for you. We're so happy that you joined us, and we can't wait for our next show because we'll have a surprise for you every time. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Dan and JD. You were great guests.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for sharing with our listeners and our viewers. Thank you for being here with us. And again, we hope you learned something, and we hope you know that you're not alone.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you for joining us today on Senior Strategies. We hope that you found the tools and the strategies that we offered you beneficial for your journey as a caregiver. We want you to leave today feeling empowered and supported.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for upcoming shows and events. For more information, to schedule a consultation, or to join a support group, please contact us at 561-800-6654.
And remember the strategies
and tools you can use
to make your journey easier.